Hello, welcome into the CHGO White Sox postgame show presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Welcome into Studio B of the CHGO studios here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. To my far left is Vinnie Duber, the CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. And the man in the middle is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. Today, we'll be recapping the 2 games the White Sox and Guardians played today. The White Sox losing both of them. Yeah. White Sox now at 6-5 on the year. They are now tied for first place, with the Cleveland Guardians, who are also 6-5. A tough game in the first half of the doubleheader, and just a really, I don't know how we would describe game 2.
Listless.
That's a very good one. A listless game 2. So let's start off with game 1 here. The Sox lose 11-1, and they really lose it after the second inning. 9 runs scored by the Guardians. A couple errors made by Tim Anderson. 3 errors accounted towards him. Jake Berger gets an error in that inning as well. But the big one, Jose Ramirez hits a grand slam off Dallas Keuchel. Herb, you posted the video on Twitter of your whole theory of what they should do against Jose Ramirez for this series. It included walking him 16 times and not pitching to him.
Correct.
Yet they pitched to him.
It must be pride. They did get him out today, but he hit a grand slam, and he had an RBI double in the second game. I mean, we looked at it. It's Ahmed Rosario hitting after him and Franmil Reyes. Good players, not Jose Ramirez. I don't know what the game plan is. In the second game, I know we're talking more about the first game, there was a base open, and they continued to pitch to him. It was an 0-2 pitch. Good job by Jimmy Lambert to get there, but throw a worse pitch there. Try to get him swinging. You have the advantage there. You threw him a cookie, and Jose Ramirez did Jose Ramirez things. He doesn't do them just versus the White Sox, but it seems like every time they play, he sees the White Sox uniform, he's like, okay, it's time to hit.
Right. Well, you see the first game, second inning, he hits the grand slam. First inning, Steven Kwan doubles, and then Ramirez, they go after Ramirez, and Ramirez doubles, scoring the first run for the Guardians, making it 1-0. They go after him with the base open.
You would want somebody else to beat you. After this, after we saw those 2 games, and we said, oh man, Steven Kwan, what a great game. Or, man, Franmil Reyes really showed up today. You would say, cool, I don't like losing, but at least we lost to a different guy than Jose Ramirez. At the time, I think it was 4-0 for the White Sox or 3-0. Walk him. Walk the bases loaded. I said it on Sunday. Walk him. He's the only guy that can really hurt you, and you keep on letting him hurt you. It would have been 4-0. I don't like it. I don't like walking the bases loaded, but damn it. How many times you need to see this man prove you wrong? Every single time you pitch to him. It's just so frustrating. And then when he doesn't get a hit, Josh Harrison gets hurt on that play out there in left field where Andrew Vaughn kind of slid and Josh Harrison to do a double jump and pretty much jammed his shoulder. Yeah,
so I asked before the game on Twitter, what would you rather see? The White Sox win the game, the White Sox score 10 runs, the White Sox not have any errors, or the White Sox have no injuries. They didn't have any errors in the second game, which was good after having 5, I believe, in the first one. 4 in the first one.
4 in the first one, 1 in the second.
Okay, so 5 altogether. Thank you very much. They did not score 5 runs in that second game. They only scored 1. They did not win the game, as you can see in the bottom left. They lost 2-1. And there were injuries in that game. Josh Harrison left the game on the weird play that Herb is describing, a bloop over Harrison. Vaughn's coming in, Harrison's coming out, and Vaughn basically slide tackles Josh Harrison. Harrison jumps over him and lands awkwardly on his shoulder. We saw it happen, Vinny. It looked like Harrison might have been okay. It looked like Harrison was all right. He ended up staying in the game and then getting taken out for Jake Berger. Harrison so far has struggled with the bat, but what would it mean if the White Sox were unable to have him on the field right now with Moncada being out, Liuri struggling? If they lose Josh Harrison for a couple days here, what would that mean?
Yeah, I mean, you brought it up. I mean, I think it's the fact that they're already down, on Moncada, and Harrison has the versatility to play either second base or third base wherever Tony wants to play him on a given day. And if you take him out of there, you're really leaning on guys that you didn't think you'd be leaning on. You're leaning on Jake Berger. You're leaning on Danny Mendick. Obviously, Larry Garcia is in that mix too, a guy who obviously you did think you'd be leaning on a little bit more if you're the White Sox. But from the standpoint of losing Josh Harrison, yeah, that would be really bad just because he's one of your starting players, and you don't want it to go down another one, especially while Moncada's out. Now, we don't know the severity of it, and, obviously you said he stayed in the game right after making that play, so it's possible that it just kind of barked up on him a little bit later on as things went along. He's already had some back stiffness that caused him to leave a game and that knocked him out for a day or two, some regular baseball stuff, and perhaps that's all this is. But, it was really ugly in all facets today. I mean, I was going back and I was looking at a quote from Liam Hendriks from the offseason. After we saw what we saw in the first game, I was going back and digging for some stuff related to the defense and how they could improve. And Liam said a lot of things about how, last season the pitching was really good for most part. The hitting was good for the most part. The defense kind of, sunk them a little bit in the playoffs there, an area that they focused on improving this offseason. And then today we see a game like today, even if it's just one day. But you go through that. Today, the pitching was not good. The offense was not good. The defense was not good. And then you throw a little health thing in there, too. I mean, it was about as bad of a day as you could have had if you were the White Sox.
And honestly, I'd push back a little bit on the pitching part because Keuchel probably struggled the most out of all the pitchers that the Sox threw out today. But he only gave up 5 hits that were defined as hard hit, being over 95 miles per hour. But outside of that, the errors hurt him on the field, and that's one thing, too. He is a pitch-to-contact player, and the White Sox last year had the second worst defense last year, just behind the Phillies. So, I mean, this is a team that has a pitch-to-contact player up there, and their defense has struggled.
You're right. Dallas did his job today in terms of the outcomes of each individual at bat. But, I mean, listen, the snowball effect is real, right? And, I mean, if you're going to be the guy who's going to be able to last 6-7 innings in a ball game, which Dallas has proven over the course of his career that he very much is that guy, you got to be able to stop the bleeding. And yeah, he got the ground balls that he wanted to, but it certainly the pitching was not the biggest problem today for the White Sox. I would even argue that it was the offense over the defense, really, because you can't win a game in which you only get 3 hits. I mean, it's hard to do at the very least. So I mean. And really, too, what we saw in Game 2 was some pretty good pitching all around as well. And, the relief of Keuchel, specifically Tanner Banks, was very impressive in Game 1. But, come on, there's 10 runs on the board. By the end of the second inning, the pitching has something to do with that, obviously.
Yeah, the Sox bullpen in relief of Keuchel, 7 innings, only allowing 1 hit, 1 earned run from Sean Anderson Severino. And Rodney saying, oh, please, Keuchel T-ball pitching. Like, Rodney, you can just give you the facts. 5 hard hit from Keuchel. Like, it's not great. He didn't have any Ks, which, that's a big thing too. Not a lot of whiffs, not a lot of whiffs like we saw in the Mariners game, but you can't have a situation where his worst pitch right there is having 3 runners on due to errors. And like he said, the worst pitch that he threw was the one that went over the fence to Jose Ramirez.
Well, and 2, what was one of Dallas's things last year? Career high in home runs allowed. I mean, there are just way too many home runs for a guy who lives on the ground, and he goes up, and the biggest hit of the game is a grand slam. I mean, you're allowed to make 1 mistake in a game. I don't know if you're allowed to make 1 mistake with 3 guys on base.
Right. And JJ points out one thing that I thought, like, the tone was set initially with the first play by Tim. Like, I don't know if necessarily they were ready to play, because you don't see this from Tim. Like, 3 errors is out of the norm, especially this part of his career. And so maybe these guys were just, I don't know, defeated. I don't know. It just looked
defeated. It's the second inning.
Like lifeless.
It's the second inning after you have 2 days off.
Have you ever seen anything like that where it's 9 hits in a row, a bunch of errors? Like Dallas Keuchel, like you said, wasn't pitching poorly. He was just getting hit.
Well, he was pitching like Dallas Keuchel. Like, I mean, like that's the thing. It wasn't like he was leaving balls out of the plate. It wasn't like, balls were getting tattooed left and right.
And it just felt like, it's a tough customer already on the other side with Shane Bieber. And I don't know, saying they didn't have it today is, evident. But I don't know if it's like on the surface, if they felt that way and they were like, oh, we don't have it, game over. Because I don't feel that those players are those type of people that would just be like, you know what, 10-0, let's just pack it in today. Or in the second innings, like there's a bunch of hits, fuck it, let's just be done with it. But it set the tone. It was a very lifeless offense. They really didn't do a lot of things. Maybe the weather in Cleveland, being in hotels in Cleveland for 2 days, got them in a certain mood. But whatever they need to do, they need to go out and have a great time tonight, enjoy themselves, and come out tomorrow and have a fucking game where you're backing your guy, Dylan Cease. You need more than one run, and they scored one run in both those games. That's piss poor.
Can we be pissed off? What about what? Why are we enjoying our nights here? I mean, you are now just tied for first place with the Cleveland Guardians, who are spending under $40 million on their payroll.
Because they need to enjoy something, because they've been doing something in Cleveland that caused those 2 ball games. I know Cleveland's decent. They're not that much better. And their pitching staff, Tristan McKenzie was walking everybody and their mama. Right. And their efforts today were just piss poor. I know the lineup wasn't the A lineup, but still, Tristan McKenzie wasn't great. And he was walking everybody, and we got one damn run off of all those Indian pitchers.
We'll go back to McKenzie in a second.
Guardian pitchers.
Dollar in the jar, Herb.
Yeah, you're going to have to put it in the jar, which is a very original idea, by the way. Never been seen before on any other thing, and it's not like we've been doing this for a month. Anyways.
Sean's got a feeling.
Yeah, really.
Goddamn.
I'm pretty sure that the original idea I pinched from ESPN however many years ago, too. So,
come
on. This is like rock and roll. Nothing's original,
That's
Sean.
fair. All right. Well, all right. Shout out to Chuck, Ozzy, and Frank.
That's a chalice? They got a special cup.
Yeah, they've got a trophy that the money goes in.
That's from some golf outing or something.
That looks like what you win when you win the Kentucky Derby.
The horse is way much bigger.
Chuck stole that from a horse.
The weird thing that I did see after the first game, Tony La Russa blamed himself for not having the team ready to play. He said, "So I take the heat for that. It's a common problem when you have a day off and you just have to push. We weren't ready to play early, and it's my job to get that done." So I thought that was interesting to hear from Tony after the game.
Well, listen, too. I mean, Tony, obviously, as we've talked about ad nauseum, is a guy who cares so much about winning, is a guy who, is a very much an integral part of the clubhouse and the culture that's going on, as we talked about earlier in the week. And he's a guy who's been through this before. He knows where the buck stops, right? He's obviously going to take the blame when it's due, because, listen, that was a horrible game in game 1 of this doubleheader. So, game 2, it looks like the kind of game that you lose over the course of a baseball season. And listen, over the course of a baseball season, you're going to lose a game like they did in game 1, but you want to minimize that because that was just hideous.
Yeah, absolutely hideous performance from the White Sox in game 1. Game 2 was a little bit better, but what was also hideous was the lineup thrown out for game 2. No Tim Anderson, no Jose Abreu in that game, no Eloy Jimenez, no Luis Robert. You saw Leury Garcia batting third, and there is a tweet here from Jeremy Frank about Leury Garcia batting third, and just talking about how awful Leury Garcia is as a third option. It's from @MLB Random Stats, Jeremy Frank on Twitter. Fantastic follow. He said, "I think Leury Garcia may be the worst number 3 hitter ever. He entered today with a .660 OPS in 2,110 plate appearances and a .043 batting average in 23 ABs in 2022. There's no other 3 hitter in the last 40 years to enter a game with a sub 700 career OPS in 1,000+ plate appearances and a sub 100 batting average in 20+ at bats in that season. Pretty crazy stuff, but we just saw how depleted that lineup was. Adam Hazley making his White Sox debut in the 2-hole in that lineup as well. A very bizarre lineup in game 2.
I'll say this. Listen, I'm not going to try to defend it. I'm not going to try to crush it either, because I'm not a lineup guy. I know people get up in arms about the lineup, and that's a fun thing for fans to do every day. I don't really care. My point will be this, though. I understand it. You want to know why? Want to know why this was the lineup? Because they're playing 2 games today, and it's April, and there was a short spring training, and they got to play 6 more months of baseball, and the starters all played a full game of baseball already today, and we see how on a daily basis Tony and every manager across baseball is cognizant of trying to get their regulars rest where they can find it, right? And you just so happen to see today that the regulars were given rest in the second half of that doubleheader because they already played a game. They got a day game tomorrow. If you don't agree, then that's fine. But if you're looking for the answer to why, that is why. You don't have to be happy about it, but that is why.
Well, and it's somewhat of an early game for them, an 11 a.m. Central start time for them. So it's awkward, but it's just frustrating after seeing the performance that they give out in game 1, and then you get a day off in game 2. You get a break.
Not a day off.
I know it's not a day off.
It's a regular day, right? Because you already played 9 innings of baseball beforehand.
You get 2 days off the game before, and yes, you are right that you have the day game tomorrow, and then you're traveling to Minnesota. So not only is it a day game after a doubleheader, but it's also a getaway day. So it is very tight here, but it is just frustrating too because you look at it, Herb. Adam Hazley and Leury Garcia should never be batting 2 and 3 for the Chicago White Sox. Andrew Vaughn and Gavin Sheets, they need at-bats. You're going to get more at-bats within that game if you have them up at 2 and 3. I don't understand the construction of the lineup. I understand wanting to get Hazley at-bats, especially him coming up. I know Tony did this a lot with Nick Williams last year, with Brian Goodwin. This is just something that he does for veteran players, veteran-ish players, or guys coming up and making their debut. But Leury batting third, I think, is completely indefensible. It makes no sense to me.
The only thing I can think of is he went to put all the names in a hat and just picked them out. Because Josh Harrison's batting first, Hazley's hitting second, Leury's hitting third, in front of Yasmani Grandal.
Yeah.
In front of Gavin Sheets, in front of Andrew Vaughn.
Andrew Vaughn, who had some of the best at-bats against Shane Bieber in Game 1.
Like, it's just malpractice to put a guy who hits that poorly that early in the lineup. I was pissed that he was hitting 6 in this championship lineup, which I believe the White Sox are. I don't mind him in the lineup every once in a while because he has to play, but put him in the right spot. You have a guy in Adam Hazley who's going to be sent right back to Charlotte, is hitting second in the lineup in a game that you need. I'm not jiving with that. And just put Josh Harrison up there. That man doesn't get on base. The man barely hits.
So far,
we're trying to win games, and I understand he's going with the old school fast guy up the top of the lineup because Josh Harrison doesn't belong in anybody's top of the lineup either. So it might have been a failure. Hopefully, in the post game, he's like, "Yeah, I picked names out of the hat, guys. I had 9 guys. This is who I had." Because otherwise, that's not defensible. Having Leury Garcia batting third and Adam Hazley batting second.
Yeah, just an odd lineup that we saw in both games, or especially the second game. And just the performances we saw against both pitchers. Bieber and McKenzie were your starters. I want to start off with the White Sox versus Bieber in Game 1. Shane Bieber is a guy that, we've seen him throw up to 94 miles per hour. His fastball is not that this year. He's averaging around 91 miles per hour. The Sox have seen him a lot. We saw that the White Sox made adjustments against Robbie Ray, and I did not see any adjustments for them going up against Shane Bieber. Shane Bieber dominated today. 35 called strike whiff percentage. A good percentage there is 28%. That's about league average. So 35%, that is an above average game for called strikes plus whiff percentage. So that just means he's loading up the zone and strikes. Guys are either taking strikes or he's just pinpoint accurate, and he's getting a lot of whiffs. He got 50% whiff rate on his slider today. So the White Sox just were not able to catch up with his fastball. He had a really dominant game, even though his stuff isn't as what it used to be. And then the White Sox versus Tristan McKenzie today, absolutely brutal. They did not get their first hit in Game 2 until the 5th inning when Danny Mendick hit a double. I do want to pull up McKenzie's stats because not only was he just able to limit contact and limit hits for the Sox today, but he threw 78% fastballs today. Very, very predictable. And this was the White Sox versus McKenzie in 3 ball counts. He had 18 pitches, 16 of them were fastball. On 3 ball counts, he threw a fastball 89% of the time. 5 balls. We talked about called strike and whiff percentage. That was up at 37.5%. The White Sox did draw 2 walks in 3 ball counts and 1 ball in play. But you look at that. I mean, the White Sox just did absolutely nothing in predictable accounts. Josh Harrison had a bad strikeout in one of those at-bats. Gavin Sheets had a 3-0 count and then popped a ball that landed in the infield. It was just absolutely brutal, and this has just been what we've seen from the offense really for the past couple games here, and it just continues and starts to snowball over and over again. They need a better performance coming out against Zach Plesac tomorrow.
Just like Fred says, it's process over results. 2-0, we saw a couple batters late on a 2-0 fastball. Mm-hmm. Like, what's your thought process there? What's your thought process? And we see 89% of his 3 ball counts were fastballs. And I saw a couple guys just late on 3-1 fastballs. Like, what are we doing? What are we gearing up for fastball? And if you look silly on a slider, or if you look silly on a curveball, God bless. Tip the cap to Tristan McKenzie. But you know what he's offering. You know what he's not getting over the plate. His off speed is everywhere. He's erratic. Gear up and get ready to hit, especially today where runs are scarce. We need to find a way to put the ball over the fence or put them in some gaps. I just think the process of the second guys, even though they're lesser guys, doesn't mean you have to be lesser in performance. Get some hits.
Right.
Understand what he's trying to do to you. Understand the count. You have the advantage. Why are you late on the 3-1 count?
Yeah, and I mean, too, like we saw a couple times, Gavin Sheets swinging 3-0. You wanted him to take on that. I think there was a couple one where Mendick was swinging 3-0 as well. It was not only, we saw Leary and Adam Hazley draw walks, but and those were the 2 walks that they drew against McKenzie in 3-ball counts. But even in first pitch counts, I mean, he was 6 of 18 for first pitch strikes. 33% of his 0-0 counts were strikes. 66% of them were balls. So you were starting 66% of the time with an 1-0 count, and the White Sox could not take advantage of it. They could not get a hit until the 5th inning. It's just a lot of struggles. You need to see more walks. You need to see more patience at the plate. It seems like this over-aggressiveness works for Tim Anderson, but it's not working for everyone else. So.
Well, and I mean, obviously, you've got a nice sample of games now where you can say that they're in a rut, right? And I think that you can also point to the fact that they played teams with good pitching staffs, and certainly Cleveland is one of those. But what happened throughout the day today showed you that you can't have more than one facet of your team just fall off the cliff. And I think this is what maybe we learned. If we learned anything from the playoffs last year, it was if you're not going to hit, you better well pitch and you better well play defense, because the White Sox have the pitching staff to win games when they're not hitting, and they have the lineup to win games when they're not pitching. And obviously defense is part of that as well. They are a good enough team to win when one of those facets goes away. When more than one of them goes away, you get a day like you have today.
Right, and even then, game 2, I mean, you only let up 2 runs. You get a great performance from Jimmy Lambert for Jimmy Lambert's sake, and you're still not able to get over. I mean, again, it's 2 runs here. I mean, the White Sox should be scoring about 4 runs a game, and the fact that you see 1 run in that first game, you see 2 runs in this game, it has just been brutal, really. And you'll go back to that Mariners game where the only run they're scoring is on an infield pop-up by Jake Berger. It's just been a really bad effort for the Sox offensively. So, I mean, that part, once it comes back, the wins will probably start coming because the pitching's been fine enough. But it's just, making sure that those offensive plate appearances are consistent and, they're process-based, not results-based.
And I find that lack of offense leads to more of criticism from fans. Like if you get crushed as a pitcher, but you guys score 10 and you lose 10 or you win 10-8, people are like, you know what? That was a good game. The team played well. But if you don't hit, it just seems worse. I mean, for fans, they're just like, oh my God, you can't hit. It's easy out there. And so, yes, they only got 1 run in each of these games, and the 1 run they got in Seattle in the close on the Rays in the closer there, it seems like the offense is going through some things right now. But as Vinny said, and I said the other day, they're going to get some real teams, some really good pitchers, and we've seen these pitchers today. Bieber was good. That second game, McKenzie was off. So I think they should take more advantage of what's going on. Luis Robert getting a day off at the afternoon game, perfect. The man is swinging at way too many first pitches in the count. No wonder he's not striking out because he's grounding out or popping up. Yeah, he's going through some things right now.
Yeah, and Steve, the comments up on the screen right now, Lubob is, La Pantera. We call him La Pantera on this podcast. He's 0 for 20 of his last 20. So.
He's 0 for 20 because that nickname you gave him. Ugh. La Pantera.
Yes, that's what we call him over here. But with McKenzie, it's just... I mean, he's a 3-pitch pitcher. He doesn't have a changeup. He's throwing 92 miles per hour, and you understand that his fastball is coming in those 3-0 counts. Like, it makes no sense on how 89% of the time that guy was throwing a fastball in a hitter's count, and the White Sox were not able to take advantage of it. About the 5 or 6 times they had a 3-ball count for those hitters. So, I mean, that's the part right there that is the most infuriating. Is there's a question about what's wrong with the offense right now. They're just not getting those results, but the process is a little bit off. We'll get to that in a bit. But the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app.
Do you know who wants to know about this?
Who?
His friend Connor. He doesn't know how PointsBet works. So this is a thing right here.
He said no idea how PointsBet work, but if they have Dallas Keuchel DFA odds, I'm interested. They do not.
You can make your own things on PointsBet. So go and make it yourself, Connor.
So if you download the PointsBet app and you go to the menu on the left side, you can request a bet. So I think that they would probably take your money on a Dallas Keuchel.
They'll definitely take
DFA,
your money. 100%.
Request a bet. But the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you do that right now, you get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making more than a $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we will help you out. PointsBet is your home for live in-play betting, and it just got even better, introducing PointsBet's newest feature, the live NBA same-game parlay. If you're looking to bet right now, you can go bet on the Bulls and Bucks game that just tipped off. I hear Dave and Matt Peck screaming over there, so it's probably some exciting action happening, and you could bet on it right now using PointsBet's newest feature, the live NBA same-game parlay. Well, tell us what you put together. You can combine your favorite bets anytime during the game.
I got to be honest with you. I think Matt and Dave would be screaming if it's just tip-off. I got to be honest with you. So,
or they probably have money on the tip-off,
right?
And who's going to win the tip. So it's it's real tense over there. For the first time ever, you can build the perfect live NBA same-game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game, and if you want more, you can boost your live same-game parlays. Herb, when you're putting that together, don't forget to boost it. Online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. And I want to mention that our next partner has a product that I literally use every day. I started taking AG1s because of this job. I started my first ever full-time job about a month ago, and I wanted to make sure I was getting up at 9:30. I was making sure my body would start the right way each and every day, and it's a great way to take in all of my important vitamins and minerals. I've been on it now for over a month, and I love it. It doesn't taste super healthy, kind of has a mild tropical taste that I look forward to each morning. You might be asking, what is this stuff? What is AG1s? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy. It helps you recover, it helps you focus, and it helps your aging process. All of the important things. You know who I think did this? Jay Wright. Jay Wright looks great for 60. His aging process looks fantastic. He's probably doing some AG1s here. And that's probably because AG1s, Athletic Greens, has over 7,000 five-star reviews, and it's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. Right now is the time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop of It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day, about 8 to 12 ounces. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGOSOX. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/CHGOSOX to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Again, athleticgreens.com/CHGOSOX. Did you put one together?
I mean, earlier today, I bet against all the Chicago teams.
There you go.
Every game.
How'd that go?
It's going well. The White Sox have lost 2. The Cubs are down 8-2. Bulls and Hawks play later on tonight.
There you go. So that was Herb's move.
And I boosted it, too.
Make sure you're boosting it. Make sure you're watching live,
Get one a day.
parlaying live, and boosting live with PointsBet. Live your bet life with PointsBet.
Chicago's going to lose. I'm going to win.
Yes, absolutely. And
I'm not going to be depressed all my teams lose.
Connor's been a real star in the chat today. He's got one more. He says, Dallas Keuchel seems to be a very decent person, so I want to establish that I don't want him to lose his job. And none of us do. I don't want Dallas Keuchel to lose his job.
Some of the way you were talking this offseason, I'm not sure.
When you said that he had an injury, his back, he was recovering from his back, like I do want him to have a fine year. And if he did have a bad year last year, if it was because of injury, I can hear that. That's a fine excuse. The man wasn't healthy. But it's brutal when, he's letting up very, very hard contact consistently, which, to his credit, he hasn't done consistently so far this year. That Mariners performance was very good, got a lot of swing and misses. His changeup has been good this year, but it just hasn't been, the results each and every time. I don't think you can put this loss fully on him today.
I mean, think about a guy like Dallas Keuchel who pitches to contact and he sees his guys behind him make errors. He's like, okay, maybe I got to strike people out because these guys are booting balls all day long. I mean, the one Jake Berger threw to Jose, I didn't think it was too much of an error. Of course, it was outside of the glove. It did a short hop, but you got to feel a certain type of way if you are a ground ball pitcher and then your people are not picking the ball up for you yet again. So maybe he was a little off on that one. I'm sure when he left the mound after the second inning, he was like, these MFers, I'm going to murdered him. I wonder if Connor got his Mountain Dew.
Yeah, well,
Baja Blast.
So Daryl asked Keuchel about the defensive support. He said, asked about the atrocious defensive support. Keuchel said, just when you've seen it all, you really haven't. And he left it at that. So I don't think he was really happy with the defensive performance.
How can you be?
Right.
It's not like they're not trying, but you still get pissed. Mm-hmm. Pick up the ball. You guys are professionals. And I know it's Timmy. It's my guy. 3 errors in one game is...
One inning, right?
No, two in one inning, and then one later in the game. It's just like, and then he made a sensational play deep in the hole to get a fast, I think, Jimenez out. So that's the dichotomy. You see what Tim Anderson brought to the table. But yeah, I have no problem with Dallas Keuchel with that quote right there. That's the nicest you could put how they played today.
Yeah.
I'll say this, though, and I know I've been the at least branded as the Dallas defender here. You can only blame so much on your teammates when you give up 7 earned runs. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, listen, that was ugly defense in the first 2 innings today. The first inning, he would have been out of it without giving up a run if it wasn't for the error. And you have no idea how the second inning plays out if they catch the ball and field it cleanly. But here's the thing. You have to keep playing. You have to keep pitching. He did keep pitching, and Cleveland scored 10 runs.
Yes, they did.
So
and 7 of those were earned. 7 of those were earned runs.
And it's not like, you look at after the home run, he gives up a single, he gives up a single, he gives up a single, he gives up a fielder's choice, and then he gives up a single. So, I mean, like after the grand slam, it's not like he came back and started, striking out guys or getting outs once the bases were cleared. Exactly to your point. He gave up 7 earned runs, and still the game snowballed even after he let up those grand slams.
Team effort goes both ways. You know what I mean? Team effort goes both ways. I can tell you confidently that Dallas Keuchel would have had a much better day if the defense would have helped him out, and I can tell you confidently that the White Sox might have had a much easier time in that game if Dallas Keuchel had gotten some outs.
Yeah, and it really felt like those bats just went silent after that bad second inning, and it really felt like the White Sox just weren't giving it their all in that second game, just with the pitching matchup. It was really frustrating, and someone asked, what is wrong with the offense? Do you guys have any big things that stick out to you that is wrong with the offense? I think just looking at the way that they're approaching this entire offensive approach, it feels like they're not being really condescending or at least aware of what walks can do to this team. A lot of big moments were always sparked with Grandal walking. It just feels like this White Sox team isn't really working counts. It feels like opposing starting pitchers get out of innings fairly easily and fairly quickly. This is over-aggression, and when balls are put into play, that's always good because, you never know what can happen. And, maybe you'll get 9 runs in an inning because, some errors happen or a grand slam from Jose Ramirez happens. But the White Sox right now, it's a lot of bad ball luck, and it's a lot of, I think, over-aggression that pitchers are playing into. They're making sure that they know that the White Sox are going to be swinging a lot on first pitch strikes. So the fact that if they're making it to where it's outside, they're limiting power. If it's up and in, they're limiting power. I think that right now, pitchers are just pitching to the Sox where they're negating power, and then their aggression is then leading to poor results in the outfield and just in the field.
It's the classic, hey, the pitchers have made adjustment to what the White Sox do. They see that Tim's at the top of the lineup. He's going to swing most of the first pitches. Same thing with Luis Robert. So the first 2 guys, throw the ball close to the zone, but don't throw them too enticing. These are what these guys are going to be. They're not changing. Tim's not changing. Luis is not changing. So it's important for the White Sox to know what pitchers are trying to do to them, what they have been doing to them, and adjust to that. So either you're going to have Tim and Luis or one of them move from the first 2 spots, or you're going to keep on doing this same thing, and pitchers, you could just have to adjust to what the pitchers are throwing to you. I would love to see Luis be a little bit more patient because all he's doing is just grounding the ball into the dirt, and he's fast, but it's not setting the offense up properly. I've always wanted Yasmani hit higher in the lineup because he gets on base. And of course, we're missing one of our biggest on-base guys, the 38% of the time guy in Yoan Moncada, which could be leading up to some guys getting on base a little bit more and driving him in. So I think the lineup is flawed. I'm a lineup guy, but I also think that if you're going to do this, understand what other teams are trying to do to you and adjust to that. Okay, yeah. Tim, first ball fastball. Either you're hitting it out of the ballpark or you're taking it and allowing your teammates to see a couple more pitches. So this pitcher that you're talking about doesn't feel like he's just coasting through the inning and can get out with a slider here, a slider there, because they're going to flail at it. They're not striking out a lot, but they're not making a lot of hard contact as of late.
And with you talking about Moncada, last year he was one of only 14 players to have over 80 walks last year. That's a huge chunk of where the White Sox walk rate came. It was really him and Grandal that drove up that walk rate. So, I mean, that is a big absence, and they're still not going to have him until post-May, possibly.
Guys, right now, as a team, 265 OBP.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is
Small
not
sample
high.
size.
They're-
It's
they're
a small
not high.
sample size, but it's not what we want to see.
And I bet they have a very low average, if not the lowest average right now in the MLB. And that's just because, again, like all of their plate appearances, all of their at-bats right now, the Diamondbacks have the worst because they're a bad team.
212 average for the White
212
Sox.
average, pretty rough right there.
23rd in the majors.
And not hitting for power either, with a 347 slugging. So
Well, compared to those other teams, how just 347, 348, 309, 284, 360. Yeah, so I mean, compared to the other teams right there, they're not hitting for as much power.
like I said before, their process in the first couple games, you saw just a lot of hard hit balls that were hit at people. So BABIP was getting unlucky. But these last couple games, it's just been poor at bats after poor at bats. And I love that Luis got a day off. Maybe he can see what, once you sit down, you can say, okay, I'm calm, I'm relaxed. I could see what pitchers are trying to do to that guy who's batting. Maybe Jose's in his ear. See, this is what you need to do. Maybe get Frank Menachito, fuck the home run in his ear. Does say, be a little bit more patient. Let the ball come to you. Isn't it weird now that, like, the guy that what most White Sox fans are clamoring for is Zach Collins because he's hitting home runs and drawing walks up there in Toronto? I love the trade still. Reese McGuire, as solid as they come. But I just think they're back of the baseball card or the baseball reference page will eventually show up.
No, it will.
They're just going through a tough period and tough pitchers that are going against. So Shane Bieber is really tough. We talked about Brash last week, and the Seattle Mariners and the Tampa Bay Rays, they always throw up some really good starters and relievers. So I'm not too worried about these guys. If they continue on their process, eventually they'll break through, and other teams will be scared to face the White Sox, not like they are right now.
You should be afraid to, like the Cleveland Guardians should be afraid to face the White Sox right now. The White Sox
great time to
have
play
not
him.
had any issue with Tristan McKenzie. They have not had any issue with him in his career so far. Last year, I think he had 3 starts against the White Sox, and he allowed 4 earned runs in each and every one of those games. He did have a game where he had 10 strikeouts against the White Sox, but he still gave up 5 earned, I think, in that game.
And how many of those players played in this game against him today?
That's a great point. I think Yasmani Grandal is probably the only one that didn't. But still, I mean, it's still the same scouting report. It's still the same guy that, hey, this guy throws 75% fastballs.
I think my opinion on this is it's a tug of war, right? You're going back and forth, and Herb, like you said, those numbers are probably going to even out in the end. I think right now, Herb, you mentioned the pitchers are adjusting to him, right? Well, the batters now get their turn. You know what I mean? The hitters get their turn to adjust as well. I think one thing to keep in mind. You can't it's very individual with every one of these guys in this lineup. You can't point to every single one of them and go, you need to walk more. You need to change everything that you're doing, because some of these guys, it's not how they have found success in the major leagues. There are guys who have that aren't. Maybe you want to see a little bit more, from Yasmani Grandal. It's a small sample size. I'm sure he'll get there eventually. Maybe you want to see a little bit more from Jose Abreu, who's shown he can walk in the past. So, and obviously Moncada's out right now. There are other guys on that team that, you don't want to see them necessarily. Obviously, you want to see them walk more if you're a White Sox fan, but you don't want to see them change their whole thing, because then they're getting away from what has made them successful in the past and will make them successful going forward. So, listen, it's a few games. It hasn't been good. It's been ugly, no doubt about it. But they play a 6-month season for a reason, and you're going to see this change. I'm quite confident.
It'd be interesting to see AJ Pollock jump in,
Yep.
but I think there's 2 players you can look at right now. I think Grandal is definitely an interesting guy. I think I would love to see his walk rate jump up. It's at like 7.4 right now, and we've known that's usually a double-digit number. Abreu has been a guy that I've really liked his number so far. He's got 4 walks to 11 Ks, which is around Jose level, but something that he's been doing is just absolutely killing the ball. He has one of the hardest exit velocities, one of the hardest average exit velocities right now in the major leagues. Abreu seeing the ball well, and for April, I like this. It feels like he's selling out for power. lower. I'm fine with the approach that Abreu has, and I think that, him, TA, and Robert, those approaches will stay the same. I would like to see a better approach from Yasmani Grandal. I would like to see a better approach from Andrew Vaughn. It feels like he's very swing happy. I'm not sure if he's driven. He's got a couple walks so far.
I love what he did today versus Shane Bieber, though. Mm-hmm. He was seeing him perfectly.
Yeah, he had a lot.
I don't like the base running, but whatever. He saw Shane Bieber nicely. I was like, all right. He can hit right-handers, and top of the league right-handers, too.
I didn't love
Keep him in the lineup, Sean.
I'm fine. I'm not against keeping him in the lineup. But fielding was a little bit iffy, especially in game 2 for Vaughn in left field. There was the play that we mentioned with Harrison coming back, going out in the outfield. Vaughn coming in, sliding underneath Harrison. Harrison hurting his right shoulder on the play. Then there was another one. It was a double smoked off the top of the wall, about 15 feet above Andrew Vaughn. And it looks like he tries to scale the wall to try to go and rob it. It was just an odd play. And then there was the first one too.
Stephen Kwan hit.
Yeah, and it was a laser
weird like behind the back try to catch it situation. It might have been okay. It might there's
looking
a
at
good
all this
picture
stuff.
of it right there. But it might not been like a terrible route, but it just didn't look very good aesthetically. Yeah. And it's weird. I think I brought up as we were watching the game, it's like, man, I don't remember seeing this many plays from him all last season, let alone in one game like this. And again, these might not have been horrendous mistakes out there. They just might have not been good looking to the eye. But like I said, something that I don't remember seeing too much of from him last season.
And with Vaughn, I would like to see not only the defense get a little bit better, but I don't really care too much about that as long as he's hitting. That's what's most important. That's why he's wearing 25 for Jim Thomey's number. I don't
Philly's
remember.
Great.
Yeah, Philly's great. Also, defensive legend is what I've heard. It's not really all about fielding for Andrew Vaughn. If he's able to field a fine first base, that's what he was drafted for. But I would like to see him have a little bit more of a patient approach up at the plate. But Josh Harrison is the other guy.
Look at our guy, Steven. Did that all in one motion. This is probably the Kwan double that went over his head. You see how far it's behind him.
It's facing the other way.
It's a left-handed hitter hitting the ball to left field, which the ball's going to go closer to the line, like it's going to tail towards the fielder. And Andrew Vaughn, not being a natural left fielder, took a circuitous route. Like he probably took a straight line instead of a line where it's more of a left fielder like Eloy Jimenez, which... God,
he started going towards
minutes of the left fielder. He probably would have caught that. Maybe
he started going towards the gap. He should have started going towards the wall. That was pretty much the read that he should have made there. And it's tough. I mean, I every ball that goes off a bat, especially watching it on TV, I'm like, oh, hey, I'm getting up at fly balls. So I can't bash him for being a bad outfielder.
Slice.
For
Thank
being,
you, Steve.
Yes. You're
my man's.
Slicing it down the line. For Vaughn, I mean, it's got to be a tough adjustment. So I can't hammer him too hard. But it's just like, why is he out there? Like, that's the biggest question. Why is he out there?
Who else are going to put out there? Eloy's not playing today?
I don't know.
Adam Hazley's already in there.
Adam Hazley's already in there. Adam Engel's already in there.
The bat's got to be in the lineup, so you got to put him out there somehow. I mean, you can DH him, but also you had other people who were DHing today.
Yeah, Grandal ended up DHing in game 2. But the other guy that I wanted to mention was Josh Harrison. Something that we saw consistently before he came to the White Sox was pitches per plate appearances. It was usually around 4, but it just feels like a lot of his plate appearances have been way too aggressive, have been ending very early in the count. That's a guy that I would like to see become more patient too. So there are guys on this lineup right now that should become more patient and need to start taking more pitches and need to start working counts a little bit more. Anderson, Robert, Abreu, I think that they're all fine, but everyone else in that lineup and lower needs to start working counts a little bit more, and I think the White Sox offense will probably start to see those adjustments come.
I don't know if you can look it up in the interim. How many pitches have the White Sox seen per at bat? Like, it's got to be one of the lowest in the league, because you have Tim, who's seen very few. Same thing with Luis Robert. Yasmani's not the regular Yasmani. You don't have Yohan in the lineup. Eloy is a very hitter friendly or hitter happy initially, so they must not be seeing a lot of pitches, and I think that leads to runs. Like, you see a pitcher, your teammates see what he's featuring. It gets a little bit more, tiresome if he's throwing 70 pitches into the 5th inning, and then you go to work on him second, third time around in the batting order, because you know what he's featuring and you know if you can hit or not hit that ball.
I don't know if these numbers are up to date with the 2 double headers that just happened, but coming into today, league average was seeing 3.92 pitches per game. The White Sox are bottom bottom 10. They're at 3.78. Last year, league average was 3.91. The Sox were, I think, top 10 or close to top 10 at 3.93. So the Sox were above league average at pitches per plate appearance last year, and now they are bottom 10. So that was one thing, just showing the aggressiveness too. They are attacking early, they're attacking quick, and I think that it's just mostly pitchers are just trying to negate that power. They know that the ball is going to be in play, so as long as they're putting it away from those power zones of the Sox, that's how the White Sox have just the batting average is so low, the slugging is so low right now.
Vinny, do you think this is a thing on the team, like a team-wide thing, like, hey guys, be a little bit more aggressive in the zone? Last year we were this, that, and the other, or is this just individuals who are a lot of swing happy guys?
I think it's probably a mixture of both a little bit. I mean, I don't think Frank Menachino's approach really changes, and I think he's a guy that every time we've had the chance to talk with him has really said the same thing. You know what I mean? That the kind of things that you're not surprised to hear from a hitting coach, right?
Supposed to hit 300,
right? Wait for your pitch. Hit a line drive, do your thing. You know what I mean?
Frank Menachino right there. It's not.
Yeah. I'm not going to do an impression of Frank Menachino. That would end poorly for me. But I mean, I think as baseball fans and people who watch the game and have watched the game for a long time, you're not surprised to hear the kind of stuff that you hear from Frank Menachino. Are the guys going to listen? Because they have had so much success throughout their entire lives doing things the way they do things, relying on that talent. And, if I can imagine how it would be hard to kind of go away from that, even if you know that it's the right thing to do, to kind of lean back and trust what you've always been able to do. And at the same time, like you mentioned, I think there are individuals on this team who that is the key to their success, is hitting that way and approaching the plate that way. I think they're going to figure this out, guys. I don't think this is something that is going to be a season-long concern. But obviously, you need to refocus. You need to recenter. And, maybe getting to face some of that Minnesota Twins pitching this weekend could be what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, I mean, and no expert says it right here. The guys that we have should be doing it. Scoring 3 runs in 27 innings is not it. I mean, hopefully this is just the anomaly. But it's outside of that Tigers game where they scored 10 runs, the Sox really, I don't think, have gone over 6 runs in a game. I think that they've just gone over 6 once, and it was the Tigers game where they scored 10. So that's the one thing too. They're being more aggressive. They're taking less pitches. But one big thing too is they've gone down on their ground ball rate. That's gone down 6%. It was at 46% last year. It's at 40% this year. Their fly ball rate is up. Their line drives went down from 21% to 17%, but their fly ball rate went from I think it was 32% up to 40%. So an 8% in fly ball rate. So the White Sox are hitting the ball in the air. That's what we want to see. They're hitting the ball hard. It just needs to start turning into results, or they need to start getting more of their pitch. Like Frank Menachino would say, make sure that it's not the pitcher's pitch that wants you to hit on the outer third. Make sure it's that one down the middle or inside that you can take and drive.
And before we move on, I see Fred's comment about Joe McEwing. At the time, we were like the same thing. Maybe he got a little more aggressive right there. He was like, hey, we're not hitting a lot. I need to send. Adam Engel's a pretty fast runner. There's got to be a bang throw by Stephen Kwan, and the catcher's got to catch the ball to get him out. So I don't too much blame Joe McEwing, but also I'm like, second and third right there is not a bad thing. I think we had Tristan McKenzie on the ropes, and the sin was a little questionable to me, but I'm not going to rake him over the coals too tough.
And I don't know if we had him on the ropes, because that was the first hit the White Sox had against McKenzie, was that double down the line. You had McGuire on second after a walk. You had Engel on first after a walk, and a rip down the line. Mendick, it gets past the third baseman, and they send Engel. It was a great throw. It was a great defensive play. I think if it's just a little bit off, Engel might be safe, and this might be a tie.
The catcher, great tag by the catcher
to
come across the body on that. I mean, that was a heck of a play on defense. You got to give some credit where credit's due.
Right. He is the keeper of the Quan.
And two, I mean, like that was the
ambassador.
That was
the ambassador of the Quan. Yes,
because Quan's more important than money is what I googled the quote.
Oh, you googled
yes,
it?
And Quan's
you just
more
watched the movie too.
I watched the movie, but I don't remember the quote. There was one. Oh, but that's the thing too with the McEwing thing. Like that was the White Sox only shot to score a second run. Like if he doesn't send them there, the White Sox didn't have another best opportunity to score a second run,
and they should have.
Yeah, and they should have, and like that was.
I mean, they should have at any other point in the game.
Absolutely,
yes. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then so McEwing in that position, like the White Sox aren't hitting. They finally get a hit, and you have Adam Engels who's fast, and it's that close of a play. I don't mind the send because the team isn't hitting at this current moment. And that was their best opportunity to tie that game up right there is sending Engel. So, I mean, you just need to start hitting more and you won't have to start sending Adam Engel on basically an infield single from first to third. If you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us continue to grow is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. It's time for our pick of the week, and it is going to be riding Carlos Rodon over K's. It was at 7.5 today, and he got to 8 through 5 innings. So whenever Carlos Rodon is on the bump, go to PointsBet and take the over K prop for Carlos Rodon. He's hit it in all 3 games so far, and I expect him to continue to do the same. If you use the code CHGO when you sign up at PointsBet and make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo, and we will help you out. And in case you missed it, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You could sign up with the PointsBet app right now. You could register from your account. You could register your account from start to finish all from your phone, and you'll be signing up with the fastest sportsbook, easier than ever, so you could start living your bet life in seconds. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet and betting the Carlos Rodon K prop over, and you will be winning money. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. And we want to mention at CHGO Sports, as you can see on the bottom of your screen right now, CHGO, you are getting live pregame, postgame, and live podcasts each and every day. We go Sunday through Thursday, the CHGO White Sox podcast. We will have a pregame tomorrow starting at 11:30. We will have a postgame for you after the final out is made. Dylan Cease versus Zach Plesac is the matchup with you. Please come and join us for breakfast with the boys or brunch with the boys tomorrow. We'll have Cleveland and the Sox. Hopefully,
a good old boys brunch.
Yeah, good old boys brunch. Just a couple boys watching baseball for brunch.
As dudes do.
So CHGO is what you're watching right now. We'll be back at 11:30 tomorrow. We hope you join us for our free pregame show at 11:30. And if you want to become a member, go to allchgo.com. You can read Vinnie Duber's fantastic work over there. We have some premium written content over there. And when you become a member at allchgo.com, you get access to our members-only Discord, the CHGO Lounge, and you get a free shirt of your choice. So make sure that you go to allchgo.com and sign up to become a member. All right, tomorrow, Dylan Cease versus Zach Plesac. I want to talk about this just because we've brought it up a couple times. The White Sox using their bullpen a lot today in both games of the doubleheader. Jimmy Lambert gave them a valiant effort, but not enough. Dallas Keuchel wasn't able to get it out of the second inning, so they used their bullpen a ton today. A lot of pressure on Dylan Cease to give them innings tomorrow. What does this mean for Cease? Because so far, so good on the year. 2 great starts for him, looking to make it a third, but more pressure, making sure that he goes 6 or 7 innings tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You guys talk about him, and a lot of other people talk about him as a potential Cy Young candidate, right? A guy who's taken the next step to be one of the better pitchers in Major League Baseball. Well, if you're going to be that, you got to be the stopper. And that's what I think the White Sox really need from Dylan Cease tomorrow. I think Tanner Banks bailed them out huge today.
Mercy.
The bullpen issues were not as grim as they looked when Dallas couldn't even get an out in the second inning there. I was expecting it to, be kind of that nightmare scenario where they were going to be burning through the bullpen because you didn't know what you were going to get out of Jimmy Lambert, and he doesn't even make it out of the fourth, so it's just a lot of innings to cover. Tanner Banks saved them pretty good today. They didn't have to use many of the guys at the back end, but you got to, if you're Dylan Cease, you've got to deliver some length tomorrow and really some success too. You got to, because to win your first 3 series of the year, if they get kind of just swept out of Cleveland, that's not a good way to start a road trip, obviously. And he's got to play stopper tomorrow. I think from what he's shown this year so far, he can. So we'll see.
If you thought tonight was bad, if you thought tonight was a little tense of a post game from Herb and I, just imagine if they get swept by the Guardians tomorrow, Herb.
I don't worry about Dylan Cease. I've never met the guy, but he seems like the coolest customer of all time. He doesn't worry about too much. He seems smooth. Like, him growing a mustache tells me all I need to know about his confidence. He's like, F all you guys. I look good in this. Fuck you, Lucas, for talking about my mustache. You wish you would look this good. And his stuff is the best on the team, bar none. I don't think he looks at that Cleveland lineup with our featuring today and sees anything. Even he's going to go against my recommendation to walk Jose Ramirez and say, hey, Jose, here's a 97-mile-per-hour fastball. Do your worst. I'm not worried about him at all. I'm worried about the bats. If the bats show up, that's a W tomorrow. 100% a W because Dylan Cease is going to shove.
Yeah, if the bats show up, I mean, fantastic. That's all we're hoping for tomorrow is the bats to show up. If the Sox score 10 runs and they lose 11-10, I can't be mad because the pitching has shown up every single game so far. Last year, Cease against the, I guess the Cleveland team, we'll just call
the
them.
Indians back then.
Yeah, whatever. 3 1/3, 6 earned runs in his first start in June 1st, but then came back in September 24th, 5 1/3, 4 hits. No earned runs allowed, and 9 strikeouts. That's what the Sox will be looking for tomorrow. And Jose Ramirez, the guy that you brought up, Dylan Cease versus Jose Ramirez. 9 at-bats for Ramirez, 2 hits, 1 double, 1 K, no walks, a slash line of 222, 222, and 333 for an OPS of 556. So Cease has had success against J-Ram
Sean
in
just
the past.
unfazed by
Yes,
apparently
just,
the greatest Bulls game of all
It
time
has to be.
happening outside.
They have to be up by 20 or something.
I bet
if
you they're
this is what
losing
it's
by
happening.
5 or something
Right,
like that.
but it's probably a 10-point game right now, and the Bucks are up.
I want the people who are like listening tomorrow.
It's 4-0.
Oh my God!
It is
Is Gus
4-0.
Johnson over there?
It's 6-0.
It's 6-0.
It's an ass whooping.
Yes.
Yes, mercy. Hawks back in the
9-0. What the is
Oh,
going
man.
on?
Oh,
Bulls out here messing up my money. Go ahead, mess it up, Bulls. Win this game. Hell
it's
yeah.
only 2 minutes into the first 48, so
I
we'll
want
see what happens.
the guy or girl listening on Thursdays like, man, the Bulls beat by 20. What the hell are they talking about?
Make sure you tune into the CHGO Bulls game if you're looking for something to do
And
tonight. the postgame
also,
show.
this Twins or Indians fan or Guardians fan in the
her.
another one.
Leave
Damn
in
it.
the jar.
Another Guardians
leave
fan. I think like a $7 now. I want you to show up tomorrow when the White Sox shove and they win this game. Because those Detroit guys were talking all the smack in the world. Didn't see them. It was Cricket City that day on Sunday. Show up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Talk that smack tomorrow.
Keeg Thunder Gaming #1 is saying trash. Please act no hitter. Cease gonna get shelled, but it's get as GIT. He's gonna get shelled.
Cleveland.
But work on gaming, too.
Right, Cleveland. which is,
Gaming could use a spell check there, but
I was
that's okay.
wondering, but I honestly didn't know.
No.
I'm not gonna bash people for bad spelling.
I will.
Because
They're adults.
I'm a horrible speller myself. But yeah, gaming did look wrong.
I don't know how you guys are horrible spellers. You had the internet your whole life.
Yeah, and it does it automatically for me.
Don't you look at it and it's
I'm
like,
also
that looks
horrible
right.
at math because I've had a calculator my whole life. It's a great tool that doesn't actually make me work my brain. So I mean, thank you, internet. Let's wrap this up real quick because we've been doing this. We've been trying to do this for our pregame show, but we have not had a pregame show for the 3 games against the Guardians.
0 for
so
3.
We're gonna continue with the best album countdown. Vinny, why don't you recap your number 4, number 3, and then give us your number 2?
I'm leading off. Okay. So number 4, I had my guy, Bruce Springsteen, on the shirt today with Born to Run from 1975. Number 3, yesterday we had Here's Little Richard by Little Richard, 1957. Today we're going to go back to the 70s, 1979's London Calling by The Clash. It was funny. We talked on whatever the first day of this week was, Monday. About
that's usually the first day.
It's usually the first day of every week. But yeah, Monday about you were complimenting. We picked some short albums, right?
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, the perfection in the 7 songs, the 8 songs. Give me the double album, London Calling. Every song's perfect. Let's go.
What's your favorite one?
Oh, you're going to make me pick? Clampdown. I'm going to go with Clampdown. Okay. But, man, Death or Glory is so good. Revolution Rock is tremendous. I love Rudy Can't Fail. Wrong 'Em Boyo. Jimmy Jazz. Oh, I could go all day long with this.
I would go title track. I would go Spanish Bombs.
Spanish Bombs is great.
Lost in the Supermarket is fantastic. I used to work at Jewel, and they would play Lost in the Supermarket.
Really? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Did they get
fantastic.
it? Did they get the joke, or was it just like on the thing?
I think it was just random. I think I was the only Clash fan in Jules.
Or is it actually the Clash playing?
Oh no, it's actually Clash.
Okay.
It's like they had licensed music, thankfully.
Okay. Also, in a future episode, we need to get into your history at the Jewels, by the way.
I have blacked it all out, thankfully, but it's a 3-year-long history of me at the Jewels. But Clampdown, like you said, my favorite, though, Train in Vain.
Train in Vain's phenomenal.
Train in Vain's fantastic.
And that's the thing. Every single song on the album is tremendous. Oh,
The Train in the Vein and the title track.
Train
we
in
need
the
to get
Vein.
we need to get Herb on the Clash band.
And I'm not a anti-Clash guy. I love Rock the Casbah.
Hey, it's the only band that matters.
Yeah, it is the only band that matters.
Ever?
Yes, ever.
Okay.
NCAA football 2006 introduced me to the Clash. They had Train in Vain on the soundtrack, so I am a Clash fan because of them. I almost put Doolittle by the Pixies, which was also featured in that soundtrack as my number 2 album. I went away from it, but those that game shaped my music listening habits from a very, very early age. Herb, why don't you recap us on your 4 and 3 albums and then give us your number 2?
Number 4 was Asia by Steely Dan, classic album. Of course, number 3 is Midnight Marauders by A Tribe Called Quest, my favorite. I know it's probably controversial. You're a Law and Theory guy or girl listening right now. Number 2, it's undefeated. Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder. I mean, let me go down the tracks.
That's a good one. That's a good one, man.
Sir Duke. That's one of my favorites. I Wish. Knocks me off my feet. Isn't She Lovely's on that song? It's a double album. Like the other 2 albums that we've been talking about for me are really shorter. This is 20 songs, so you're gonna take some time to listen to Az is on there on the track. Man, just chock full of hits. Classic Stevie Wonder. It's done perfectly. I just love this album. It's just not a press play one because you'll be there forever.
Right.
Skip around a little bit and find your song.
Yeah, Vinny was all worried about giving us an hour and 5 minutes of an album. Stevie Wonder, hour 45.
Yeah.
2 hours. Yeah. He's giving you a motion picture soundtrack.
Took 2 hours. Took 2 years off from making a new fresh album, and that's what you get.
What's your favorite track on that one?
I'm a Sir Duke guy, but Az is also solid, but Az is for fucking ever. It's like 8 minutes long. It's forever.
I got to turn you on to a Sufjan Stevens song. It's 26 minutes long. It's very, very,
just
very
jam banding all day long.
This is
like
Inagata
Fish.
DeVita up there.
Oh, it's worse. So I also want to turn you on to something. It's a Vox video. Jacob Collier deconstructs Sir Duke. So it kind of talks about the Stevie Wonder, genius on that song alone. So fantastic album choice for your number 2.
I think I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, he breaks it down. Vox does a great job with all their earworm stuff. So make sure you check that out. Final album we're going to talk about here, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot.
Chicago's very own.
Chicago's very own. You see the Marina Towers right there. The 2002 album from Wilco. This one's under an hour, so this one I think we can define as easy listening. And of course, the first track is 7 minutes long, so they're starting you off real long, and then they get into the quick ones. But I'm Trying to Break Your Heart, Camera with a K, Radio Cure, War on War, Jesus, etc., Ashes of American Flags, Heavy Metal Drummer. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right there. Probably some of the best 7 songs that you'll hear on any opening to open up an album right there. They really find their niche. But I mean, they're a great band, like you mentioned. That's your 4th favorite Wilco album. From their.
I'm a big early Wilco. The first 2 albums are phenomenal. Obviously, you got AM and Being There. Those ones are really good. A little more country, a little more rock on those ones. But I'm a longtime Heavy Metal Drummer fan. That's a good song.
That's the one Wilco song my girlfriend knows. Is Heavy Metal Drummer.
That's the only one I knew for the longest time too. When I was a kid.
It, man. So shout out to Jeff Tweedy, shout out to the boys, shout out to the Marina Towers, and have brunch with the boys tomorrow. The CHGO White Sox pregame show
Steven?
Starts at 11:30.
Which one did you like the best out of our 3?
I like that you let it off. I feel like Vinny just has that.
I mean, it's Vinny.
Yeah. It's the only band that matters, baby. The Clash.
Vinny did try, and Vinny did set this whole thing up that he's trying to give you the 5 or 4 records that you need to listen to.
These are my picks for the 4 greatest albums of all time. These are not necessarily my favorites, but I mean, you'd probably see some crossover a little bit, especially London Calling, Mercy.
Mercy. These are Herb's picks for his favorite albums.
Yes.
And these are my picks, I guess. I don't know what mine
Tusk.
are.
These are just 4 albums that come to mind.
That
for
Tusk thing.
4 albums that come to mind.
Even my fiance Courtney was a big time Fleetwood Mac person. Like,
I get it, guys. You know what? None of your favorite songs.
I think they're all terrible. So you're in good company.
Well, thank you, Herb. Everyone else thought that too when that
I just do that
album
for Courtney.
was absolutely bashed when it came
Herb
out.
just
so.
crushing Fleetwood Mac.
I mean, it's kind of like my childhood when I didn't like Madonna or Prince because my older sisters both like those two groups, and I didn't get into Tribe because my middle sister, who was older than me, liked Tribe Called Quest. Like, I can't like what they like, and then I was like, that kid's an idiot. And that's kind of what I do with Courtney. Like, she loves the Rolling Stones, so does her mom, and so I kind of bash them a little bit. I don't know, actually not that much.
Well, and I'm an only child, so I had nobody to shame me. I had nobody to hold me back from having Tusk as my number 4 album of all time.
Thank you, Baloney Francesa.
Tusk was the Leary Garcia of Fleetwood Mac albums, and I disagree. That album,
Bruce would bat him third right now.
That album right now has an expecting batting average of 750. It's not that high,
and they're catching every ball.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's through the first 11 games of the White Sox season so far. That is Tusk right there. It's the process is fine. The results have been a little bit iffy, but we'll learn to love it.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I would be shocked if you had to pay more than $7.50 for that album in any record store today.
Well, maybe if it's a fresh one, maybe it'll be $10.
They're giving it away with every purchase.
They still have sealed versions of Tusk on sale at Reckless Records.
And it was the most spent on album ever.
Yeah, most expensive album. I think it was the first album ever that took $1 million to record.
That marching band.
It was the marching band.
They had to fit that whole marching band into the studio. Come on.
No clue. But the production costs were estimated to be over $1 million, equivalent to $3.73 million in 2022, making it the most expensive rock album recorded to that date. So that's going to do it for talking music with the boys. Have brunch with the boys tomorrow at 11:30.
I've literally never heard of any of these 6 singles. Tuss, Sarah, Not That Funny, Think About Me, Sisters of the Moon, or Angel.
Okay, Think About Me is great. Not That Funny is not that funny.
This
but
is a daily segment now.
Yeah, well, you guys are turning
Crush
into
Tusk.
Listen to Tusk. Have you listened to Tusk yet?
I'm gonna listen to it on the way home.
Listen to.
I'm gonna try.
You're gonna need to drive around for a long time.
Like
right,
I told
I'm putting
you.
in my thing right now.
Like I
Apple
told
Music.
You. Listen to Tusk first,
Terrible
the song,
album.
and then
Tusk
start
comes
the
up.
album. So listen to the album, it's the song album. What is it called? Title track?
Title track.
The title track. Listen to the title
Song
track
album.
first, and then start at 1 through I think 19. So that's gonna do it for the CHGO White Sox post-game show. Thank you for watching. Make sure to tune in at 11:30 a.m. for our pregame tomorrow. We'll have a post-game to wrap up the Guardians series. We'll see if the White Sox will stay at go to 500, 6-6 tomorrow, or if they'll go to 7-5 and stay at first place in the AL Central. For Vinnie Duber, you can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. For Herb Lawrence, you can follow him at Ecknerwall23. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow
rumors.
You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. Thank you to Stephen Nicholas for his production. And thank you to Fleetwood Mac for their 1978 album, Tusk. We'll see you tomorrow. Go Sox.